A doctor slips into the room and asks me questions, writes things on a clipboard. He says I have a far back but not close memory, my childhood vivid, my adulthood dormant, colorless. What I see, witness, experience one day disappears the next, like that shiny plastic paper I wrote on as a kid. When you lifted the paper off the inky board, whatever you had drawn was gone. There are apparently endless analogies for what's happening to my shriveling mind. A small part of my brain resembles a glacier with deep recesses sunlight cannot penetrate. He says it's like when ice climbers descend into a fissure and the light dims as they dangle on ropes in the darkness. The doctor says there will be fewer fissures of light and eventually all will be black, except for an occasional flash of unexplained lightning that may revive a memory for a few seconds or maybe an hour, but it doesn't really matter because it won't last and the memory won't be remembered anyway. Confetti in the wind, a shattered mosaic, these are the examples he uses. He brims with metaphor. The doctor is heavyset with a broad face and curly brown hair that glows in the window light. He speaks quietly but in a determined, uninterrupted flow, like a book on tape or a man telling you interesting facts between stops at a subway. He is intrigued by me, or more precisely my case. I am younger than the ashen-faced droolers lingering in hallways of piss and peppermint, and that antiseptic scent that makes these floors so sticky. That's what excites him, my youth. I am, he says, very young for such depletion.
In fictionalizing your reported subject matter, do you feel like you're simply writing what you know, or is there something that the novel is getting at that the hard journalism cannot say?
Two things. One, I think in a lot of being able to work at the Los Angeles Times with the freedom that they give you for the kind of style and story you want to tell, you can, I'm not saying it's novelistic, but you can go out there more than you can at other papers as far as telling a tale. And so that kind of opens up the window a little bit. As far as what I know, I drew on, as I said, with promised versions of what I knew, but you can only, I think that only gets you so far as a novelist, and then you have to just break from that and go into this other truth or this parallel different reality of what you can't do that in journalism, but in a novel you can flip that door open and jump into a whole other world. You just have to be, as a novelist who's only written 2 books, you have to constantly push yourself to do that, though, because journalism is a box in many ways, and you can stray great and wonderful ways, but it's still, and a novel is knocking down the walls.
Right.
So that's what. Usually a mind in my state is 70 or 75 years old, but I have somehow depleted earlier, and this concerns the doctor, who says it's happening more and more as baby boomers age, a whole generation of dangling in the dark. He says he suspects environmental causes mixed with the stresses of modern life that somehow in its technology has done something to my mind. This is what he suspects. He speaks of synapse, brain circuitry, and promising drugs that have done wonders with rats. I have a headache. I want to ask him a question, but I don't. I just sit in my powder smell, staring at the flowers until he leaves. What is there to say about lost ice climbers anyway?